When finding a creator of such fine woodwork like George Nakashima, I was so enthralled by how he designed and created his pieces. I wanted to design one myself, but I didn't have a lot of timber in my shop at the time, so I decided to use a piece of camphor laurel that I bought a couple years ago that I just had a bit of leftover for. So I decided to build a chair. So I decided on this piece as well because of the live edge, and I wanted to do the live edge with very geometrical and architectural type joints and cuts, because you have the back of it which is just free flowing and basically unwhirly, and then you have the front cuts that are very angled and very straight and very proper, as you could say. So I decided to, after planing everything down from this one piece, I had to try and get all out of this one piece. So I cut the leg stretches on the miter saw because it was just an easy thing to do, and then I moved on to cutting the front leg stretcher, which means I had to use my Japanese saw to cut down along the edges and then make the cut with a plunge cut on the circular saw. I had to do the same with the back chair because it's so angled I couldn't run it through the table saw, also considering its live edge and I wouldn't have a flat reference surface, so I had to do that. After doing the cuts though, I got to do a bit of planing with hand tools, so I got into my hand tool work just to really smooth out the lines for the back piece, which was really good. And then I laid out the joinery. When deciding to carve out the levels for the seat, I decided to use an angle grinder with flap discs because that's all I had in my shop. So when doing it, it took a long period of time, and since using flap discs, it basically just left a bunch of sanding dust everywhere in my shop. I used, for this first level, to get most of the stuff away, a 60 grit, and then trying to smooth it out afterwards, I used a 120 grit, which worked. It made it pretty flat, but covering it anyway, so I didn't have to worry about it being too sanded or too finished. So after all the sanding was done, I got to wrap the chair in the chair foam and fake leather vinyl that I decided to use. I went for a dark brown because I think it accents the walnut a little better. And something I didn't mention when I was doing the legs for the glue up, I made my own walnut dowels that I decided to put in the half laps, so it made it look a little more consistent throughout, having the walnut color throughout the piece instead of just at the top. So after that, I got to cut the vinyl down, and then I lost the footage of me actually stapling it, and that footage is the same. It was the same clip as the finishing footage, so I don't have that either. So after I stapled it down, I cleaned up the excess of the chair and then finished it using Danish oil again. It's actually such a nice finish to use. And then that was the chair done. And after this clip, you'll see a couple shots just finalizing the chair, and just knowing that this was a somewhat inspired nakashima chair really made it special, because he's a founder of furniture making.